It's the next level.
I put a spell on you, and now you're gone. My honey fell on you, and it was strong. So strong. You're wretched and alive, have all been cursed 'cause of all the witches working. And the worst, I put a spell on you, and now you're mine. Before you, I'll say it's a pie, up or maybe up and die. I'll say it's a pie, up or maybe up and die. It's a Koreama. Hey, hey, I say
Welcome to another chapter of Still Afraid of the Dark from the Next Level Podcast Network. I am one of your hosts, Rob Martin from the Caffeine Crew cast of pods, also from DC Primetime. Joining me, as always, Ben Beck.
I put a spell on you, Rob Martin. I don't know what it is, but I put a spell on you.
Okay, well, that's fair.
Okay.
That's good. So,
I didn't really know of any other way to start.
it's okay.
that. Yeah.
It's okay. It's quite okay. So, before we introduce our guests, so this chapter is actually a chapter we call A Tale of Witches and Woe. And joining us today, Ben, why don't you please do the honors?
We are welcoming back from previous episodes or previous chapters of the podcast, Kat McIntyre.
Oh, hi.
And also welcoming back our friend Jada.
So we're actually going to be talking about two different films today. One being the 1990 film The Witches, starring Angelica Houston, and then jumping to 1993, Hocus Pocus, probably one of the most classic Halloween films that is just so beloved to today. So before we get into that, though, we actually have three different drinks for this episode.
Indeed.
This is the only episode where we're actually making more than one cocktail. So for this, we made one for each of the Sanderson sisters. So for Mary Sanderson, which Jada is imbibing on, is champagne, cranberry juice, a little bit of, I think it's lime juice in that one. Sorry, I'm trying to remember because it's three recipes in my brain now. And then we have raspberry schnapps. So as for me, I'm drinking the Sarah Sanderson, which is, again, champagne. We also have creme de violet in that as well. We have a little bit of lemonade and a little bit of lemon juice in that. And then, Ben, you're enjoying the... a nice crunchy Winifred Sanderson. Yes. So, and for you, you're actually having that with it's champagne, it is sour apple schnapps, a little bit of apple cider, and lime juice in that as well. So
I don't know if that crunch will translate, but we'll find out.
no, there was a weight pattern on it.
Oh, was there?
I'm
Okay.
pretty sure people
All right.
were going to hear that nice little...
It was very audible
little snap.
and delicious sounding.
Oh, it
So-
was delicious.
But yeah, like I said, this is a really fun one. And again, we have all of these definitely garnished with the different fruits that are kind of closest to a mix here. With the exception of mine. That's more just for color, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
But it works well. So why don't we start off with The Witches? So Ben, I'll kick it off to you.
Sure. 1990, as we mentioned in a previous chapter in which we talked about Labyrinth and Legend, Labyrinth being a Jim Henson production. The Witches also as well is a Jim Henson production, which was something what seemed to have been forgotten by a couple people the last time we had this group together. But based off a book by Roald Dahl. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Roald Dahl.
Roald Dahl, who also was the author of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. This is...
Technically Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. In the
You
book.
are correct. I apologize. Charlie and the Chocolate
Nerd.
Factory.
I'm a huge book geek.
Well, you're an author. You're an author. It works.
Yeah.
This is, in fact, your wheelhouse.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
which is something I'm going to be... It's going to be fun talking to Kat about, too, because I know you've read the book a number of times, where I don't know if any of us...
I've read it.
Have you read the book
Yeah, I read
before?
it as a child. It's actually, I loved Roald Dahl books as a child.
Oh my
so
God,
yeah.
Why don't
Me
we just kick it off with that, and we'll talk a little bit about the adaptation of the book to the film itself, and
Yeah.
how do you feel that the movie translated
Kat,
after seeing it?
So, Kat, yeah, you're the perfect one to kick us off with this.
So I actually thought most of the film translated really well to the book. I was very happy, like, beat by beat, you got the creepiness of the witches, you got, like, that, like, the genuine terror factor. And like, I mean, they brought all of the really like distinctly remember reading as a kid the whole person trapped in the painting.
Oh, the
thing.
portrait was so creepy and wonderful.
So creepy.
Yes.
And so I loved seeing that in the movie. I'm really glad that they I thought they did an amazing job. The only thing that actually didn't gel for me, which is why I prefer the book, is the ending. Because I like the bittersweet ending. Like because in the movie,
he stayed a mouse, right?
In the in the book,
Yeah,
he
in the
stayed a
book.
mouse.
Yeah.
And I thought that was more fitting, given and in the movie it just felt handed to him. It's like, oh, we found a way to turn you into a boy. But I always loved Roald Dahl because his books were darker, and they took it to that next level. So the boy lived happily with his grandmother, but he remained a mouse.
Well, I mean, it's interesting that you bring up the darker ending of the book, too, because even with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the ending of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is much, much darker than what
The book
Willy
is-
A lot of
Wonka
his
and the
books are much, much darker.
yeah,
The
than
book
what
is
Charlie
so
and the Chocolate
messed
Factory
up.
gave, or
Yeah.
than what Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory gave
Well,
us,
because
too.
then it continues in Charlie and the Glass Elevator, I think, or it's the
In
something
the books,
Glass
yeah.
Elevator.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
in the books.
Yeah, that's the second one.
And so their story continues.
So this is just similar to
This is a
Charlie,
one and done,
but is a darker story than what we get in the film adaptation.
Absolutely.
And it's for the most part, like about close to about 95% is pretty.
It's pretty spot on from there.
For spot.
Agreed. Yeah.
And yet it's
Really
just really
impressed.
the ending that gets that Hollywoodized ending. It's everything ends.
Just like
But without that Hollywood ending, though, we wouldn't get one of my favorite lines from the movie.
What?
Don't forget Bruno.
Mm-hmm.
I quoted it like 4 times before we even started recording.
It's
How
true,
did you
you have.
not know what it was?
Yeah. Jada, how about you?
So I remember reading the book as a child, but I actually haven't read it recently. I also remember watching the movie when it came out. I remember watching it at a friend's house at VHS because I had read the book and I was like, oh, let me watch this. So when I watched it again this past week, I was astounded at how much I actually remembered from the book. And,
Yeah.
Everything from like the Luke's grandmother telling him and telling him all the stories and what to look out for and what these witches look like and they only wear sensible shoes and they're always scratching at their hairline and all these other different little idiosyncrasies, and I really felt like that they got that spot on.
Oh my God,
The other thing that I really liked about this is that, again, I think we discussed this in the last episode that we were all together, and we were talking about practical effects. This is 1990,
Yeah.
and when the scenes where they have the boy turning into a mouse, it's not all CG in a whirlwind. It's you got actual effects from the camera and smoke and makeup and prosthetics and things happening before he then turns into a cute little puppet mouse.
Yeah, and the puppet mouses are so
They're
cute.
so
Oh my God, they're adorable.
Oh my gosh, they're
Sorry,
so
puppet
cute.
mice.
Puppet mice.
Puppet mouses.
And come to think of it, I don't think there are any CG
No,
effects
there
in this
aren't.
movie. I think everything is practical
really-
effect.
I really liked
is either
that.
practical effect or puppeteer work.
And the prosthetics and everything.
Yes.
So I mean,
Yeah.
you talk about like you're also looking at Angelica Houston in her heyday, and oh my God, you could not have picked a more perfect actress to play the head witch. Like
my
she
God,
was
you really
amazing.
couldn't. She was amazing.
And everything. Like even when they were talking, like, oh, you have to put your face back on because somebody else was coming into the room, and she had to transform back into her beautiful self. Which, of course, my God, she's gorgeous. But when they have her in her witchiness, and she's all like gnarled and bald, and she's got the long nose and creepified, like that's all prosthetics and all makeup.
Yeah.
It's slightly dated and you can tell it's kind of prosthetics and makeup, looking at it as an adult, but looking at it as a child, you're like, "Oh my God, this is creepy." Like those scenes would have given me total nightmares.
Oh yeah, it
They
was
look
messed
a
up.
little more the practical effects always look a little more visceral. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It gives you a more visceral reaction to and I mean that was what I distinctly remembered with reading the book and even watching the movie. Like when the witches all start removing their head, like
Their
their
wigs.
hair and their faces and this, that, and the third, and
Yep.
all that, like the visceral imagery, and they did
Like
that
the teeth,
really
the purple
well
eyes,
there.
all these things. Like what was it? The square feet.
Square feet.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's something I'm still like, look out for anybody who's not wearing pretty shoes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Do you know what's funny too is as I was doing some research into the movie as I was watching it this week, I noticed that there is a 2020 reboot of the
Yes,
film
starring
coming out.
Anne Hathaway.
And the funny thing, I didn't know that at the time, and I literally just clicked on the link as we're talking about it, because before I clicked on the link, I was thinking to myself, well, who would we want to recast in these roles? And you mentioned Angelica Houston as the Grand High Witch. And in my mind, I was thinking, well, you know what? If I had to go modernized, Anne Hathaway would probably be a good choice. And then I clicked on the link, and I see that Anne Hathaway is actually playing the Grand High Witch.
Another one that I think would have been a really good choice for a reboot would have been Angelina Jolie.
That could have worked as well.
Oh yeah, because she
especially
also
after
has
the Maleficent
yes,
films.
She also has that like ultra beautiful, like very statuesque, the high cheekbones, the dark hair, the big eyes, and then for her to transform into something hideous. That is something, you don't often think of Angelica Houston or Angelina Jolie as being, hideous, but you get to see them that way in some of these more monstrous roles.
Yeah. But, you mentioned too, being surprised how much you remembered from the book as you watched the movie. And as somebody who's never read the book, this was similar to Legend when we did that a couple chapters ago. This was my first time seeing the movie in probably like 10 to 15 years, if not over that.
Longer
and
for me.
And I was actually surprised how much of the movie I
Yeah.
remembered having not seen it that long ago. Whereas with Legend, I didn't remember much of anything. The Witches, I remembered a good majority of this movie. The only thing I didn't remember was Rowan Atkinson being a part of the cast.
Oh my God, he was
I
amazing.
forgot about that too.
Yes.
I loved him in
I
that.
saw his name in the titles and in the opening credits and was like, holy crap, Rowan Atkinson is in this? No way. So it was just
Well, because
very
when
cool.
I was younger and I saw this for the first time, I wasn't familiar with Mr. Bean
Right.
or anything yet.
Yeah.
Now that I've grown older and I've
appreciate
become
it.
accustomed to Mr. Bean and Johnny English and all those roles.
Blackadder was, I think, the
And
only thing that
Blackadder.
I had seen him in at that point.
I hadn't even seen Blackadder yet.
My
at this
parents were
point.
big into British comedy, so I had seen Blackadder and a couple other things as
So
as
now
a young kid.
rewatching and
Yeah,
seeing
you're
him
like,
as
"Oh my
part of the
God."
cast was just, it was so great.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think for me, it's, going through this, because we actually, like, oddly enough, maybe watched this about 6 months ago, give or take. Not if that.
It was right before the Iceland trip, I think.
Yeah, right before we went to Iceland is
Yeah.
when we watched it, because we were kind of
We
like,
were
you know
packing.
what? You were like, hey, let's just go for it, because you're like, I want to watch The Witches. It's been a really long time, and I think.
I had never seen it before.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's like.
I had never seen it
But
before.
I mean, for me, it
and-
had to have been at least 15 years or so, and I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? Like, this was another one of those like classic ones growing up that we used to watch all the time. But it's amazing on how great that movie still is, because
Yeah.
it still moves at a relatively fast
Oh, yeah.
pace.
It's very
It doesn't
fast-paced.
waste its time ever. Like, and it starts off, you're right, like I said, that creepy bit with the the painting when you're getting the backstory about what witches are, and it was fantastic.
So one thing that I love, and the pacing of it, Roald Dahl books, that was actually one of the things I really liked about them as a child, is that I was not the fastest reader. I read for content. I did not read for speed. Roald Dahl books, I could finish them so fast because of the way he paced his writing.
Yeah.
And he was, as you said before, he was a very dark children's author. So, I mean, you're talking about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, The Witches, The Big Friendly Giant, where they literally are talking about eating children. And The Witches, they talk about eating and murdering
Yeah,
children as well,
yeah.
too. James and the Giant Peach had some pretty dark
That was
elements of
very
it, too.
creepy.
So a lot
Even
of his
Fantastic
books.
Mr. Fox got kind of like.
Very true. Yeah, there was definitely some visceral, bloody elements to it, and I really feel like they held that well to the movie for The Witches.
So I actually, my brain just kind of put this weird piece together. So like the big plot thread in this film was like, they're like, okay, we're going to use Formula 96, or is it
86.
86?
86, I think.
And my phone is trying to. No, I won't rephrase that. Thank you. But anyway, for some odd reason, as my phone decides to chime in on our
Hey,
conversation.
that's all right. I recorded another podcast last week, and Alexa picked up my voice and started going off in the background.
And so,
Funny.
but
Technology.
When they talk about Formula 86, I'm like, there was probably this plan, and they're like, we need to use a factory to work with sweet shops and such. What about the Wonka factory? Great, and everything goes tits up. I'm like, I guess we'll do the golden ticket contest now, because we have all this chocolate prepped. So why not?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, but what's interesting too is you mentioned how you guys watched this about 6 months ago. We talked about we keep making the comparison back to Labyrinth and Legend, which we did a couple chapters ago. Legend is one I rewatched after 20 years. I don't think I'll ever go back to it, if not
Yeah.
for a long time. Labyrinth is one of those.
Tisk, tisk.
I know.
Director's
I could
cut.
go back to it tonight.
Labyrinth is one of those ones where I'll watch it and I'll be, okay, I got my fix for a little while. I can go a little while without having to see this. But after rewatching The Witches, this is one that I could go back to tomorrow.
I could too.
And rewatch again and still enjoy it just as much.
I'm actually really happy it's on Plex because, again, we're coming up on Halloween season.
Benflix. We call it Benflix. Benflix.
Is that, with I have 3 young kids, and this is a good creepified, like kind of scary, spooky movie where the kids win at the end.
Yeah.
So, that, and then I just get to watch Angelica in that gorgeous dress. Yeah. I want that dress with that like cool like train thing that she can then turn into a cape and like a shawl. Like, oh my God. How cool. Amazing. I need that dress.
I want her face mask.
Also true. Yeah. I just want to be Angelica Houston. She's basically my life goal.
That's fair. It's a good
Spirit
life goal.
Animal.
Yeah.
But
Patronus.
she had
Patronus,
like, because she had the personality and like
she has the stature,
yes, she
and
had
the presence,
the stature,
the presence to pull that off.
To pull off the Grand
She
High
was
Witch.
gorgeous,
Because I
even-
remember in that book, like
Yeah.
that picture of the Grand High Witch was so striking, and so when you saw her in the movie, I'm like, no, that was perfect.
That math checks out. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if anybody else noticed this, but in that crowd of all the witches together, there are definitely men dressed up as witches.
Oh, totally.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
In that crowd.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
I did not notice that.
Yes, there are.
I did
Lots.
notice while watching it, a few things kind of stood out to me, like that either dated the movie or just like kind of like caught my willing suspension of disbelief just a little bit.
Yeah.
One of that was the clothing is very dated. It's
Oh, yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
very 1990. You're looking at, his like acid wash cargo jeans, which my husband's watching it with me going, oh, I think I had those pants. And I'm like, I guarantee you did. And then, like some of the fashions that the witches were wearing in their meeting and everything. So some of that to me was like, it was a little dated. And then when they all removed the wigs, you could really see some of like the wrinkles in the bald caps and things like that.
Oh,
so
yeah.
like some of that stuff.
Some of that pokes through a little
right,
bit.
It pokes
you know?
through a little bit, but still in the same time, I'm like, the movie still is just, it holds up. So I'm willing to forgive that,
But I mean, like, you do have like this great sequence though, is like when they first get together and have their meeting, the very first meeting, when they start going through some stuff, and we get to that whole point where like it's that one witch that she dust torches essentially.
Yes.
And it's so intense to watch.
Yeah.
Because like the way that it played, like, and you see a lot of them just kind of like giddy about like watching this person fry, and you're like, this is a little warped, I'm not gonna lie.
Well, not only that, but you get the looks of the witches at the same time. You have the spots on the bald caps. You have the dirty, disgusting teeth at the same time. So while they're cackling, you get these horrifying looks coming from them as
And
well.
you have like these flat, like that, those strobe effects going off of like
Yeah.
the purple eyes and stuff like that, and it makes this great blend of everything.
One of my favorites is actually in the very beginning where Luke is in his little tree house and that one witch approaches him and she's trying to give him the chocolate bar and trying to entice him down. And like, she's even still in her like beautiful form, but she was so creepy.
Oh, she creeped the hell out of me as a
God,
kid.
yes.
Like, I think I was more
She
afraid
was-
of her than I
Yes.
was the Grand High
Yes.
Witch, because something about her was really
I think
just
part of it had to
unnerving.
do with like the fact that
she was
very,
relentless.
She was relentless, and it was a very real situation for a kid. Do you know what I mean?
How many
like,
times were you told be
how
wary
many-
of strangers, don't take candy
exactly.
from strangers?
That was
And-
like that prime situation
Exactly.
presented that kids are always warned about.
But it also did a great job, though, because in that same scene in the film, and I can't speak to the book because unfortunately I never read the book on this one, but it also established Luke's intelligence in one scene, because this is a 30-second interchange of him in a treehouse and noticing all these major pieces.
It's similar in the book.
Yeah,
because
and
he's a smart kid and he listens to his grandma.
Yeah.
Like really, he does his best,
And correct me if I'm wrong, that witch is one of the council in the hotel, too, is
She
she
is.
not?
Yes, she shows up again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have any, I think, major speaking lines from her at that point in time. It's just she's the establishing point.
I think she's more noticeable when they're trying to find Luke.
Yes.
After he's been discovered and they're trying to find him, I think that's when we start to notice her a little bit in that group of people.
Yeah. I will say, too, the transformation sequences for both Bruno and Luke are really intense and
Yes.
kind of like they're, again, we're going to use the word unsettling a lot, but there's a lot of unsettling in this movie.
Roald Dahl in general is very upsetting. I mean, as a young kid, it's like it's all about teaching lessons. It's all about like, okay, learn from this. It's very much fables. It's the don't go down this path or you will face consequences.
Yes.
I mean, so you're talking about this is basically the don't take candy from strangers edition.
Don't take fizzy lifting drinks, you know?
Right. So, I mean, there's so many aspects of that. One thing that I don't love that he does a lot in his books or I don't know. Is he still among the living, Roald Dahl?
I don't know.
I'm not sure either.
I don't think so.
There's definitely the little bit of like picking on the fat kid a lot in his writings, and this holds true for Bruno as well, because Bruno's all about like wanting the cakes and the candies and the stuff, and the sandwiches have to have real butter on them, not margarine, because he hates margarine.
Well, what's the quintessential scene from Matilda?
Right, exactly.
The chocolate cake
scene. So he does he does a lot of like fat shaming for kids. So I mean, and there was a lot of that especially in that day and age of like the 60s, 70s, 80s, when his books were really coming to fruition. So you're looking at, those aspects. And of course, the fat kid gets lured in by promise of 6 more candy bars, something like that, chocolate.
Yeah.
So, but I like that he is part of how they turn it around and kind of give the witches their comeuppance. So
Roald Dahl has not been with us since The Witches came out.
Oh, okay.
So 1990,
Really?
November of
1990.
1990.
Wow.
He passed
Sorry,
away, yeah.
rest in peace, Roald Dahl.
But he was
I love your
also
works.
74 years old, so he
He lived a full life, but
He
that's
did.
kind of young. But
nowadays, yeah.
Yeah.
Nowadays,
Not,
yeah.
for the 90s, maybe not so much.
Yeah.
Lots have changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's kind of feels like we all almost should have done The Witches and like Willy Wonka, because that's just as freaking creepy.
Well, they're-
but
Well, no, really, if you go into any of
his
Roald
books.
Dahl's books,
Any
they're
of them.
all
They all have that
creepy.
element.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and one of the other things too that I noticed, and I don't know if anybody else noticed this as well, but in the scene we mentioned with Bruno coming back to the hotel room, coming back to the conference center as the promise of the 6 chocolate bars. There's a scene in particular that I felt a little, I don't know, maybe it was something you wouldn't notice as a child, but as an adult, it kind of stuck out to me a little bit. The scene where Bruno is approaching the podium where she is at, where the Grand High Witch is at, and she's smelling him. She's doing these body movements that are kind of sexual. They're not really necessarily like disgusting. They're kind of sexual in
That's
nature.
just
The way
it.
she's
A lot of the
moving.
witches in general have that like giddy excitement of like,
but it
there's
wasn't
like,
excitement. It was
Yeah.
a disgust from the smell.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if it was excitement, I would understand. Okay, maybe that's something they're doing a little bit there. But as a disgust doing that, I don't know. It stood out a little bit to me. It didn't take away anything
Didn't
from
stand
the
out to
movie,
me.
but it was something that kind of stuck out
I think
out
that's
to me.
just
a little
how
bit.
she moves.
Maybe might have just
I
been
think-
Angelica Houston.
Because she
Angelica
just
Houston.
has that sensual grace. I mean, like,
and as Jada just
She's-
nods her head, I'm like, yes.
I didn't want to talk over anybody, but I was nodding my affirmation.
This is another classic case too when it comes to this. Doesn't happen nowadays in modern entertainment, but a lot of times we get child actors who usually move on to become big stars, and
Like, I believe this was his only film.
this was Luke's only film. This was Bruno's only film.
nice.
So this was a case where the child actors really went nowhere after this movie. This was the only one and done. And
Maybe they
sometimes
just wanted to have regular
that's okay.
lives.
Yeah.
Maybe they were like, I don't want to be a part of any more witches, so
I don't want to work with Angelica
turn into
Houston
something
ever
else.
again. She was creepy.
I mean, if you think about it, though, too, both of them, minus the voiceover work, really didn't have that many scenes in the actual film. In the grand scheme of things, it was just their voices really primarily being used to voice puppets. So,
Yeah.
I mean, like, there probably wasn't much need for them to have to ever choose to go on to something, because if they're like, oh, this is fine, but, like, if it was like, hey, we need a kid to stand in that can be able to hold their own during
Yeah.
a couple major scenes, where it's probably maybe 2-3 days of shooting, probably no more than that.
Yeah.
And then a couple days behind a microphone. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see for them to say, no, I'm good. That was fun to do.
Yeah.
One thing I will say about them as voiceover actors, their inflection, intonation, and emotion really came through.
Yeah.
A lot of the times with child actors, especially for voiceovers, things tend to fall flat
Yeah.
No, it's true.
because they're reading. And, when you're a child performer, you're really taught to emote and react. And a lot of that is physical. And it's not necessarily something that you can see.
Yeah.
So when that translates to voiceover acting, think of like how the Charlie Brown kids, the Peanuts crew, kind of their voiceover acting. I can fall asleep to the Charlie Brown specials because the voiceover acting from the kids tends to fall a little flat.
It's monotone. Yeah.
It's very monotonous.
Yep.
So the fact that their emotion and their inflection and everything all came through remarkably well for them being such a young age. I think both of those kids were like 9, maybe 10 years old.
They couldn't have been any like
Yeah,
any
they
more
had
than,
to. Yeah, they were
I think
definitely like between 8 to 10.
going beyond 12 would be pushing it.
They definitely were not over 12. I would
Yeah.
put them between
Yeah.
8 to 10 if I
Yeah.
looking at them.
Little babies.
Indeed.
Yeah, in fact, it doesn't have a date of birth for either one of them. So
Yeah.
Plus, those
I
little
couldn't tell you.
puppet mice were so cute.
They were really cute little puppet mice.
I want a puppet mice.
I
So,
totally want a puppet mice.
yeah.
I would be okay turning into a mouse if I became one of those
They
puppet mice.
actually address
They were
that. Like they
so
talk about
adorable.
that. Bruno talks about it with his parents, and he's like, "No homework. I don't have to go to school. Mom, you always wanted me to lose weight." Like
Yeah.
again, shaming the fat kid. But like they always like they go through that, and he's like, "Here's all the reasons why it's good for me to be a mouse." Like he
Yeah.
was totally happy with that, as was Luke.
As was Luke.
Yeah, both kids were actually totally fine with their
They're like,
mouse.
"Yeah, I'm a mouse
which
now,
is
it's cool."
which is honestly why I thought it wasn't necessary to change it
Agreed.
at the ending, because it'd be
Like-
different if they were like horribly scarred by it. Okay, yeah, then take it away from them.
Well,
by
the one
end.
kid's mom, Bruno's mom, was a little scarred from him being a mouse, but, like
his
Granny was
parents-
totally
but
chill
his
with it.
parents were presented as horrible anyway,
Yes.
and Granny was going to take both adorable
That's
mices.
true.
So she was going to have both boys, and they would both get
Cute
lots
little
of affection.
diabetic
and
Granny that
I
she was. She was
know.
adorable. I actually really liked the
sweet.
actress that they picked to play her
Yeah,
too. I
same.
thought she was really good.
Do they explore more about Granny in the book? Because
They
it's,
do.
it's implied in the movie that she's aware of witches and she's gone against them before, but they never
Yes.
really clarify it in the movie.
They do clarify it a little bit, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they discuss her as
right.
basically like a witch hunter. Like she's been tracking the head witch and the high witch for decades.
So they mention it in the movie a little bit. It's extrapolated more in the book, but
They're very much
she-
alluded to because
What's that? Well, no. She ran into the high witch did something to her as a kid. I think she lost a limb
the girl,
or
the little
something,
girl
or-
in the portrait is supposed to be her sister.
She lost a finger.
in the yes.
She lost a
Oh,
finger.
because in the movie it's her best friend.
No, it's her sister in the book.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. In the
Yeah,
movie,
yeah,
it's her
yeah.
best friend. Yes.
So, but she was personally affected by it, and so ever since then, that's where her fervor for like
The witch
Tracking
lore,
down the
tracking
witches came
them,
from.
knowing how to find them, how to see them, and making sure that her grandkids don't get.
Because it's implied
Mad.
in the movie that there is a connection between the two, because the
Yes.
Grand High Witch does recognize her.
Yes.
But they never clarify
They explain
exactly
They
a
what
lot
it
allude
more
is.
in
to
the
it, but
book.
it's definitely they go
Yeah.
through it
Yeah.
a lot more in the book.
There's a couple nods or stuff like that where they talk about the painting and like how that impacted her, and you're like, okay, that definitely was somebody in her family, and then things go through a little bit, and once you see the grandmother kind of have the little like the spill in the hotel when she kind of
Yeah.
collapses, that's where it kind of connects, where you see like Angelica Houston's character, like the Grand High Witch, gloat a little bit about it, and you're like, oh, that's how everything connects. Like they don't like lay it out, but like they lay the pieces out for you to
Okay.
put together. So for everybody here, I know, like I said, it's been a while for most of us at this table to see it. Where do we fall now in today's day and age with this film? Kat, what would you say is your favorite takeaways, and how would you rate it?
I would rate it a treat because I really, really enjoyed it. I never saw it until this year, and I thought it was amazing. I also loved the source material, and I thought they did a fairly decent adaptation to the source material.
I'm actually going to be completely agreeing with you on this, because this is definitely one that I would show to my kids, as like we always do. We always host trick or treat at our house with a couple other close friend families with littles, because we have a great neighborhood for trick or treating. And usually we'll put on Halloween movies as the kids come back for them to like sort through their candy and stuff. This is definitely one that I would put on, especially now that the kids are a little bit older. It's something that still will catch them, captivate them. Creep them out a little, but the kids still win in the end. And I don't think we even touched on the fact of how the kids win. They trick the witches into drinking their own potions. And that's freaking brilliant.
And then the
It's so
hotel staff
smart.
kills
all of them. All of them.
Rowan Atkinson is the true hero as
He
he
is.
kills the Grand High Witch.
He totally is. He squashes
tale
her.
of Mr. Bean.
Yep.
Or
He
either
traps
that
her
or-
under a
either
mug
that or-
and he
either that
squashes
or
her.
The tale of the cockaliki soup.
Yep.
You know? Well, actually,
And
this was
cress
cress.
soup.
This was the
Cress
cress
soup.
soup. Yeah. So.
But yeah, this one to me would definitely be a treat.
Yeah.
I feel like it really holds up.
Yeah. It's a treat for me as well. I mean, like I said, when it comes to revisiting old movies, I usually get my fix and then it's a while before I see them again. But this is one that I've revisited for the first time in like 15 years, and I would very easily revisit again next week because it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think honestly, there's some definite pieces that are dated, but I think the performances across the board, the puppetry, and just the general creep factor that exists from start to finish of the film, it's wonderful. I really think it deserves that treat exactly And it's one of those ones I would love to go back to and watch again relatively soon.
Yeah.
So with that, why don't we move into our next film? And that is 1993's Hocus Pocus, which is, again, the reason for the drinks that we're imbibing this evening.
The drinks that are, for the most part, already gone.
Mine's
I put
gone.
a spell on you.
I want to, before we
Sure,
jump
ahead.
into this too, you made mention at the beginning of the top of the podcast about how this is a favorite of everybody. There really is a lot of mixed reaction when it comes to this movie. There are, for the most part, almost everybody I know loves this movie. It's a movie.
It's amazing.
It's a movie that has to be watched every Halloween. But there are people out there that have watched it and been like, I don't get the hype of this movie at all. And critically, it did not do well. It's
Good.
another movie that critically did not. I think it's at like a 30 or 40% critically on Rotten Tomatoes.
So what we're
But from the
gauging so
audience-
far is critically they suck, and
Yeah, in the grand scheme of
Don't
things,
listen to the
honestly,
audience
like,
on this
I
one.
don't like critics. Like, I know, like, we kind of are them, but we're not.
We're not,
Like,
no.
We're talking about this from enjoyment as just average, everyday people. And, you know, you say it all the time. It's you make your own opinions on things. And honestly, Rotten Tomatoes, any of those things, IMDb, don't give a crap at all.
There's one review in particular, and I'm trying to vamp a little bit so I can find it, but it was actually from Roger Ebert on Hocus Pocus, and it made me laugh when I read it because it's the furthest from what I feel, and I have a feeling from what all of us feel about this movie. 33% on Rotten Tomatoes from critics. Which I think is absolutely ridiculous. The
That's
movie
insane.
does not
It doesn't deserve that.
No,
for
not
sure.
at all.
Well, Gene Siskel just says one word: dreadful. And Roger Ebert, I know, gave it a bad one too, and I don't know exactly where that one is.
Regardless,
but, yeah,
old white men giving their opinions about things that no one asked them for.
exactly.
It's not like they were really
Thanks,
the target
guys.
audience here. You
right,
know?
right.
It's like, hi, I'm 67 years old and probably either have a...
This children's movie is too geared
Immature.
towards children.
How dare it?
This children's movie has children as the leads. We hate children.
Oh, I'm sorry. This was the one that made me laugh. Hocus Pocus is harmless, but it's about as much fun as celebrating Mardi Gras under the influence of candy corn. It's a clever review, but shut up.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, and we gave them way too much credit for that at all. So let's just ignore their
Yeah,
existence
enough
and
with
move
the
on
bad.
forward.
Enough with the bad critics.
Because in all honesty, this was one of the ones I was most excited to talk about, and I think
This is one that if we did a Halloween podcast, we would be doing a serious misservice if we didn't include it.
Oh,
course.
absolutely. I mean, I think for most people, like, knowing that we were doing the show is like, when are they doing Hocus Pocus? I mean, like, it's one of those ones you anticipate is going to appear. And I think there's a really good reason, because regardless of just anything you do, like, it's kind of like when people think of Halloween, like, a lot of people are like, oh, the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, and stuff like that. But Hocus Pocus is right there next to it, regardless if you like any of the films. But, like, it's synonymous with Halloween at this
Yeah.
point.
It's become a cult classic.
It is,
Yeah,
absolutely. And I think there's nothing wrong with the fact, like, you don't have to like everything that's out there, but, like, everyone knows it's synonymous with this holiday at this point. Like, there's no changing that, and it will always remain to be one.
It's that one movie that if the same way USA gives the Elf treatment, like, and runs it 24/7. If any movie, if there was any TV network that was going to run a movie 24/7 around Halloween, Hocus Pocus would be the one you choose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. So let's turn it over to you guys. So, Jada, Hocus Pocus, what is that movie like for you?
To me, it is a slice of life from 1993 because I was around 13 or so when that came out, like 12 or 13 years old. So I was kind of at the age where trick-or-treating was like, you were almost aging out of trick-or-treat a little bit. Like most townships say, like, 12, 13 is like kind of the limit. So that was sort of like a way to kind of cling to that childlike wonder of the holiday, but still kind of embrace the kind of growing up aspect of it as well too. Because I think I was in like 7th grade, I think, when that movie came out. So like, you had friends who'd have Halloween parties and it's like, oh, put on Hocus Pocus. So it was just like, you always had like the one Sanderson sister that you loved, or like the one character that you really identified, and everybody loved the cat. Everybody loved the cat.
Yes.
Jinx.
Jinx.
Binks.
Oh, Binks. Sorry.
Binks. Yes.
Thackeray.
Jinx.
Thackeray Binks.
Thackeray Binks.
And everybody's like, that's a name. That's definitely a name.
Oh, okay.
But no, Kat, how about you? What's your go-to?
That was my go-to movie as a kid, honestly. It was funny because I saw it from a very young age, and so that imprinted on me really heavily. But also, Danny is the little girl in it,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
She looks identical to my cousin, how my cousin did at that age. Like, identical.
I can see
So
it.
I, like, immediately was like, oh, okay. And I mean, I always loved Halloween stuff. So, and it really just celebrates that. It's this really, it brings together all that, like, spooky, costumey, like, chaotic nature of Halloween. And it just really has fun.
Well, I mean, I love the fact, though, too, that they take a place like Salem as their focal point. And they say, hey, you know, like, let's just celebrate this town. And some of that stuff is really indeed shot in Salem, which is great, which is wonderful to see.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So if you go to Salem, you can actually find the houses that they used for, like, Max and Danny's house and all these things.
mayor's
like,
house.
Cute.
Yeah, like there's major focal points that they use for the street shots. It's not all like shot like on a back lot or something like that. So they actually do get an opportunity to really like play with the town and like kind of give it a new legacy and a new lore a little bit, which is neat. I think they have a lot of fun getting the ability to do that. But I mean, like, you know, they show that town being this big party town for even the adults on Halloween. It's a big, huge deal. Like they show them at this party all night.
Which is why none of the kids have supervision.
Exactly. I mean, like, no, like,
Totally
you know,
unsupervised.
we haven't had the opportunity to be in Salem during Halloween, but like,
I heard it's like
but
that,
everybody
though.
has told us that's actually a pretty good representation of how insane this town really gets about this.
Makes
because
sense, though.
it's
That's
Yes.
like Mardi Gras for Salem, really.
yeah,
Yep,
pretty
yep,
much,
yep.
and it's how we celebrate and really just kind of honor, you know, our legacy. And I think it's a really kind of fun avenue of like them actually getting the chance to play with that and give us a real town and play with a concept the same way that we talked about like Sleepy Hollow, like you know, a couple episodes back, where, you know, we talk about places like that are real, like Tarrytown and Sleepy Hollow itself. And the same way that they have reverence for the tale of, you know, Ichabod Crane and the Headless Horseman is the same way, I'm sure, that while it's not the same people that were alive, the Sanderson sisters are 100% fictional characters in the town of Salem, but for them, I'm like, hey, it's really kind of cool that they're kind of honoring us in this kind of way. So it's neat. I think it's really enjoyable that they got an opportunity to do something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, for me, I find a little bit of a more indirect route to Hocus Pocus, and that's through the movie Ladybugs. And that's because of Vanessa Shaw, who is in...
She plays
Allison
Yeah.
in Hocus Pocus.
Okay.
Vanessa Shaw is an actress
She's the
who...
teen love interest, right?
She is,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she was only she's still alive. She's only maybe
hope
a
so.
year or two older than I am now. So of course, when I was younger, she
Yeah.
was somebody who really struck my attention as somebody I thought, you know, I had a
You
kid
totally
crush
crushed on her.
Oh, absolutely.
I crushed on the bully. It's totally okay.
Wait, you said the bully?
Yeah.
It's a whole nother therapy stream. So of
I would
course,
assume probably not ice.
No.
Yeah,
So-
that's fair.
so seeing her pop up in another movie, even if it was about witches, was enough to get my attention to watch the movie. And after watching the movie, even though I watched it for my crush on Vanessa Shaw, I ended up really just absolutely adoring the movie. I mean, how can you go wrong? I mean, we have a whole musical element with all the witches singing "I Put a Spell on You," which when you put Bette Midler in a movie, you really can't not
Yes.
sing a song at some point.
To me, to bring it back to another episode where we're all together, Bette Midler not singing in a movie would be like David Bowie not singing in a movie to me.
Yeah, it would be
You
like
know?
David
Yeah.
Bowie
It
being
would
in
be-
Labyrinth and not singing
Exactly,
anything.
exactly.
Yep.
So I mean, there's so much there. Like she
has
had
to,
to have a
yeah.
song. She had to because she has that voice and she has that presence.
God, she really
it just would have
does,
been
yeah.
it would have been like a crime against everything for her not to sing that.
I mean, but you put on top of that, you have two other actresses in Kathy Najimy and Sarah Jessica Parker, who each in their own actually have decent singing
Yeah.
voices.
Yeah.
So when you have three actresses like that, and you have the lead of Bette Midler, you can't not do a musical number when it comes to that. And it's one of those musical numbers that it's still to this point probably one of my favorite moments of that movie.
Oh, it's entirely well
Same
done.
Is that
here.
whole
Oh my God, yeah.
musical number
Yeah.
is I sing along to it when I watch that scene.
Oh, it's a fantastic sequence.
Yeah.
It's one of the best. But like, honestly, even just the leading band up there, so charismatic that kind of like even join in the fray with it, and it just works so wonderfully. The whole sequence is just
And
awesome.
the fact that it plays out that everybody in the town, because as you mentioned, they're in Salem, thinks these are just people dressed up like the Winifred sisters, and they're just going along
Sanderson.
with it. Why did I say? Oh,
You said Winifred.
Sorry, Sanderson sisters. I had
You
a
finished your Winifred.
I finished my
You're good.
Winifred. It plays out so well with the lore of everything.
So who is everybody's favorite of the Sanderson sisters at this table? Kat, how about you?
I liked Sarah. I thought she was really fun. I really loved the song. That song was like my favorite song. It was wonderful. And she was just really goofy and weird.
Yeah, she was really wonderfully bizarre.
Amok, amok, amok.
Uh-huh.
Honestly, probably Mary was my favorite.
Yes, thank
like
you.
I
I'm right on
love
board.
Kathy and Jimmy, and when that came out, like
Sweetheart.
Kathy and Jimmy was actually a pretty big stand-up star, and I remember watching
Yeah.
her stand-up on like Comedy Central late nights and stuff when I would like sneak out of my room and go like watch like late night cable without my
never
parents'
saw
knowledge.
that.
Oh no, she's got some really
cool.
really good stand-up. Like look her up
That's
because her
awesome.
stuff's
I
amazing.
mean, like between this and Sister Act,
The Sister Act
Yeah.
films,
were
yeah.
her big,
those were her
huge,
kind of her breakout roles.
like forays. Yeah.
And so seeing her, like, her as Mary is just like, she's adorable,
She's
but
so
creepy
precious.
and just like amazing at the same time. Loved it.
Yeah.
Mary is probably my favorite. Now, don't get me wrong. This is probably the only movie that I found Sarah Jessica Parker attractive.
Yeah.
It's the corset.
Yes. But Mary, I agree with
Yeah.
you, Jada. Mary was she was so goofy and just so funny. I mean, the moment when she comes out of the cabin and rides a vacuum cleaner
Yes.
is just,
that was amazing.
I mean, that's typical to her
So
character, and
good.
it's so much fun to watch.
Oh yeah,
So Mary's my favorite too.
No, for me it's Sarah though as well. Like again, it's
Yeah.
the goofiness and just how like over the top she was. Like because everybody else was like felt like okay, they're kind of on a like they're reasonable. Well, you understand where they're coming from, and then there's just this one that is just completely so far
Dumb as a
gone.
stump.
But like I still
there's
love that.
nothing
Like
No
there.
love for Winifred at the table.
but
I
you know
do
what?
like Winifred, but
She's-
honestly,
She's so
great.
mean.
yeah.
But like you
She's
know,
the villain.
But like
She's a great villain.
One of my favorite scenes though, really
She's so
though,
mean to both of the other
yeah.
sisters, though. I'm like,
It's almost
"Oh,
like
stop
the
being
female
abusive."
Three Stooges, though. If you
It
look at it
is.
from that, because there's a lot of
It
slapstick
is.
element between the three of them.
That's
Absolutely.
true.
Yeah.
And it really connects. But one of my favorite scenes though is when they first come back and it's Winifred around the cauldron trying to remember, and you have Sarah in the background with this like it's like dead man's toe, like and like it's her running around dancing like she has this innocent, like idiot savant moment where she's the only one that can remember, and it's Winifred like out loud like pouring through it's not this, it's not this, it's not this, and she's just repeating it and repeating it and repeating it. But it's just so wonderful because it plays so perfectly.
But there's so
comedies.
many subtle moments of that as well in the movie where, I mean, even one of the ones that I didn't really pick up on until I was older is they lured the Sanderson sisters into the kiln with the tape of learning how to speak French.
Yeah.
And when they come back into the kiln and they walk out, she says, "I'm looking for my book," but she says it in French. And then she repeats it in
It's like,
English.
where's my
like
book?
The tape.
Have you seen my book? And it's like, as they're all charred and just
Yeah.
very irate, but it's never like, but it just comes off in like the perfect comedic
does.
tone. And it's
does.
so great.
Yeah.
I actually love some of the little things that they do, just bringing them out of that time capsule era, you know, when they wake up and then they're like walking, they emerge out of the forest like for the first time and they see a road for the first time and they all kind of cringe back. Like the facial expressions that they make, especially Bette Midler, because she has those like kind of accentuated lips and like the eyes
my
and stuff and the
gosh,
teeth.
yeah.
But like the face that she makes when they approach the road for the first time, and I think a bus pulls up and they're like,
When it honks, oh yeah,
That
it's
Yes.
amazing.
Yes, that
Yes.
was really funny. Well, one thing I noticed with the movie too is it does the humor style. They do the thing that a lot of Disney movies do, for example, which is they have adult jokes like mixed in. Because when I was a kid, again, I watched this movie over and over again as a very young child, and I didn't catch any of those things. But as an adult, I go back and I watch it, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like they make a lot of pretty raunchy jokes mixed in there.
yeah,
Like,
there's
I
a
was
whole lot
throughout.
of there's
I
a whole
was-
lot of Sarah talking about boys.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And like the whole situation where they find the devil The number, yeah. That whole thing is a
Tart
very
face, take your Clark bar and get out.
Yes.
But my favorite still is they have a little woman, you know.
Okay, there is a total creep factor to Finding the Devil.
Yes.
In the fact that they have a brother and sister playing husband and wife on screen.
Yeah, because that's Penny Marshall's.
Gary Marshall and Penny Marshall
Marshall
are brother and sister
Oh
in
my
real
God.
life.
Yeah.
How did I never pick that up?
I don't know.
Oh, that's gross.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, they've both unfortunately passed on, but the fact that they have a brother and sister playing husband and wife on TV is kind of a little bit of creepy.
But again, if you're looking into some of the lore from Salem and like witchcraft in general from that era, those were things that the Puritans were very fearful of. So the whole devil and the women who were dancing around with him and that sort of thing. Like that was hugely creepifying. So maybe they did that on purpose.
Yeah, probably.
They're like, we're gonna make it weirder.
Yeah,
Make
pretty
it
much.
weird.
One of my favorite scenes though is there's another really tiny little moment is like when they're being chased by Billy and all this stuff at this point in time before we know Billy's actual intentions through all this.
Yeah.
It's okay. He's a good zombie.
And the fact that Danny just goes right up to him afterwards is like, "Hi, Billy." Like everything
She
else
was so
doesn't
cute.
matter at all. He's automatically good.
But my favorite sequence is Max going up to the cop. And it was just like, he was like, "You have to help us. We woke up the Sanderson sisters." And he's like, "Did you light the black flame candle?" And then he's like, "Come here. Are you a virgin?" He's like, "Yeah." But and then it was just kind of like, get out of here, And then it was just, but then I love because there's that's a humorous moment. But then there's the next layer of the joke punches as you see the cop walk over to his bike and his girlfriend jumps up and he's like, "It's really just funny. This kid thought I was an actual cop."
Aww.
And I'm like, that's amazing because it takes this non-believed scene but plays it for humor and then gives you a whole new layer to the joke that
I
makes
love
it
that.
much better.
And they kind of bring that joke back around for the closing credits, if I remember correctly, don't they? There's a kind of a little bit of a raunchy-esque joke because I think the little girl Danny says something. I'll have to honestly, I didn't have the best week, so I wasn't able to rewatch this one. But I believe that there's a sequence at the closing credits where they bring back that joke about so and so being a virgin, and it's the little kid asking, it's the little sister asking what that word means.
No, but there is a scene with the parents when the parents are under the spell of the Sanderson sisters. There is a scene that I think Disney tried to cut and didn't cut enough in which you can see the dad grab the cones of the mom.
yeah.
It's very, very quick.
Yeah.
It's very quick. But if you watch
Ben
close
was
enough,
watching for
you
that.
can see. No, I just
He was
happened
watching
to
real
notice
close.
it. I just happened to notice it.
Jada, the scene that what you're thinking of it's when Thackeray gets kind of released from being the curse.
yes. Okay.
His sister Emily is there, and he's like, "What took you so long?" It was like, "I had to wait." It was like 200 years for a virgin to light a candle, and you're like, "Okay, that's a pretty good
Okay.
good last line of a movie," So. I don't know where else to jump into because again, this movie's just got so much this awesomeness to it. But I think one place where I can say it's really heavily dated though, more than any other spot, is definitely the bullies.
Yes.
Jada, you brought up the bullies, but the bullies very specifically, I think if anything dates this movie, it's them alone.
Absolutely.
Also, Max.
Well, Max, yeah.
Because he's from California, dude. That's and
It was always the kid from out of town.
he had the tie-dye
always the kid from out of
shirt
town.
and
I mean-
the super relaxed West Coast vibe, really heavily.
That's really weird. It really is always the kid from out of town because
Yep.
you look at Casper and they were from out of town.
Yeah, we talked
Karate
about
Kid.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Karate
Yeah.
Kid, he was from New Jersey.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's so funny.
Those 80s and early 90s
Well,
movies, it was always the
it's
kid
always
from
the
out of
idea
town.
of it's a fish out of water. I
Yep.
mean, it's such a trope. But it's a trope that allows you to get to the point where you don't have to ask too many questions about what's their life like, all these things. You can say, nope, this is what they are. Everybody can put themselves in a situation where they were the new kid in some way, shape, or form.
Sure,
and you
yeah.
can go, boom, everybody can connect onward with the story.
There are a couple lines of dialogue that kind of stick out to me as kind of being a little out of place. But, I mean, they're very easy to go over. One in particular is... Jada, as you mentioned, when the Sanderson sisters walk out of the woods and they're not familiar with a paved road, but yet towards the end of the movie, when they're flying next to the Blazer, and she asks him for his driver's permit. okay, you didn't know what a road was, but you know what a driver's permit is.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's a little out of place, but it's
Yeah.
it's for the sake of a joke, so you kind of let it go.
Yeah.
Willing suspension of disbelief.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rating?
Yeah,
And,
I guess rating. I guess that's the best way to kind of end this up.
'Cause at this
So-
point, we're just kind of geeking out about
yeah,
the
I
movie.
mean, it's
It's
really kind of
so
where we're at. So,
good.
Kat, how about you? Where would you? What was your final thoughts and how you rate this one?
It's definitely a treat. I still watch it every year around Halloween. Because
watch it
it's
multiple times a
fucking
year.
amazing. It's one of those movies. I mean, even Thackeray holds up incredibly well. The little kitty cat.
Puppet
That was
kitties.
puppet kitties.
Puppet kitties and puppet mice.
What we're learning here is use puppets, people.
Use an actual puppet.
Because the puppets will hold up.
One
the two
thing that they
episodes you guys
actually
are on,
did, they
all the
actually took
puppets.
his teeth and they made his teeth a little bit more round because
Did they
in their
really?
early screen tests, his having like actual cat teeth, which are, kind of fang-like,
Yes.
did not test well with children.
Really?
Little known fact, yes.
That's
I'm like, hey, guess
funny.
what? They're cats.
Yep. They're carnivores. Tiny little murderers.
Have you seen that?
Jada, your review.
So this movie is a total treat. This is definitely one that, along with The Witches, I think is a good one to pass along to the kids. They're out of an age that they can definitely appreciate this. There's, there's an adventure. There's, amazing bad guys that are both hilarious and creepifying at the same time. And then, of course, the kids win the day at the end. So this is definitely a treat. 150 million%. I would put this right up there with my, Snickers and Reese's peanut butter cups as a Halloween treat.
You had me at peanut butter cups. You lost me at Snickers, but that's okay.
Snickers
Oh, you're
are
a monster.
delicious.
That's why.
I'm gonna give. Let's see. What do I want to give this one? I'll give it a trick. Is what I'm doing by saying that because it's an absolute treat. No, it's a treat. It's one of those movies that, like you, Kat, I watch every year. I watch multiple times a year. I can watch this not at Halloween and still enjoy it. And I just want to go on record and say the rumors of a sequel are falsified. They're not true. There's no talks of a sequel.
That's good.
And
Doesn't
not
need
only
one.
do I not want a reboot, I don't want a sequel. Let this movie stand alone by itself.
It is a perfect
It's
standalone.
great the way it is.
Yes.
And that's
The
about
only
it.
downside is, unfortunately, it's probably, like I said, it's going to be great for our generation. Think it's going to have a hard time finding an audience with a younger generation. And if we jump ahead about like 10 to 15 years.
I don't know. I feel
Period
like
piece.
there's a whole lot of people our generation who are passing this movie and their love of this movie on to their kids.
I hope so. I hope that's something that does
Well, and the
consistently
only
happen.
really like big dated parts of it are some of the language. Again, it's like some
And
of
the
the jargon
clothing.
and the clothing. But that again can be easily passed it. This was a movie from the 90s, so people were like that at that time. So period piece. It's
I remember
like,
watching the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory as a kid, and that was shot in what, like the late 60s, early 70s?
Exactly.
And thinking, like, what the heck are they wearing?
Yep.
But so, there are certain things that you kind of learn to just say, it was a different
That's
time.
true. That's very
Yeah.
true. And like I said, it's one of those ones I definitely want it to last as long as humanly possible, though, because again, for me, also a treat. This is one of my absolute favorites, and anybody that doesn't like this movie, there's something seriously wrong with them.
Absolutely.
We know a couple people who don't like this movie. We're not going to mention them by name, but we
Oh,
know a couple.
no. He brought it up, and he's on the
Gas.
network. It's okay. Paul,
That's right. That's right.
Paul, you're wrong. And you're absolutely wrong.
Which Paul?
It's
You
not
don't
a Paul
know.
know.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
He's
don't- it's not
another,
a
he's
Paul you
another
know.
one of the hosts on Next Level. He's our friend from Canada.
He does a horror podcast,
horror
and he doesn't
podcast.
like Hocus Pocus.
Maybe that's the reason why.
Sad faces.
So-
I know.
So many.
But no, it's such a great. It's an awesome family film, and I think if you grew up with it, it's hard not to thoroughly enjoy it. And even if you saw it later, it's hard not to thoroughly enjoy it still. So I think
Yeah.
it's one of those classic ones. It's kind of, if we say the Rankin and Bass films are like the highlight of Christmas, this is the highlight of Halloween. I
Yeah.
think next to like Nightmare Before Christmas, I think they stand right next to each other as like being some of the best highlights you could have for this year.
You mentioned 2 out of the 3. I mean, you mentioned Hocus Pocus, Nightmare Before Christmas, and Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown. They're the 3 I think of anytime I think of Halloween.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
don't think of Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown. I am not.
I
a
always-
I
Charlie
think about it.
I
I don't
do.
like it, but I think
I
about
do, because we put it on for the kids because it's a
That's
short
fair.
and sweet little thing
That's
that they can
fair.
watch and then go to bed after trick or treat. But
It's perfect,
I think
yeah.
I
You know
think
what?
Hocus Pocus might
This is
take over.
this is the
year.
best way to kind of think of this. At Halloween, you also think about candy corn, but no one likes
No one
candy
likes it.
corn.
The best way to eat candy corn: open the bag,
it in the
throw it in the
trash.
trash, and eat a peanut butter cup.
Absolutely. All right. So with that, why don't we get ready to say goodbye? And
Sure.
we do that by right off the bat saying a big special thanks to our good friends Sarah and Taylor and the rest of the group of This Way to the Egress. You hear their music at the beginning and the end of every one of these episodes and on our drink recipe videos. Big special thanks to them. Please make sure to head over to their website, check out their stuff. Their website is thiswaytotheegress.com. That is This Way to the Egress, spelled EGRESS. Make sure to check out their projects. Check out when they're touring. And in addition to, definitely head over to their Patreon. Throw them a couple bucks to continue following, and also to be able to check out the cool, scary stories to tell in the dark stuff that they're just about to release. Or if not, actually, I think it's actually out now at this point in time, a couple weeks in. So please make sure to check that out. And, beyond that, though, too, head over to, honestly, I guess, the Next Level website.
Yeah, can I just say something real quick?
Sure.
Doug Jones was Billy Butcherson?
Yeah.
I had no idea. That's why I have this look on my face while you're talking about it. I just realized Doug Jones was Billy Butcherson.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And Ben, do you want to take us out to where they can find more from
Sure.
Next Level?
You can check out this podcast as well as all other podcasts on the Next Level Podcast Network, thenextlevelnetwork.com, facebook.com/the Next Level Network.
And until next week for our final
Yeah, it's going to be our
Final
finale of the season.
chapter of Still Afraid of the Dark. So until then, we'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.